In this episode of Highlight Sundays, WordPress, Twitter, and finger pointing. Hello and welcome back to Highlight Sundays. It is the 23rd week of 2014 and here are your highlights. So let us kick off this episode with our PSA of the week. Now, this one concerns WordPress in an article from Ars Technica entitled "Bugs in Widely Used WordPress Plugin Leave Sites Vulnerable to Hijacking." This plugin goes by the name of All-in-One SEO. Apparently, it is a quite widely used plugin, but unfortunately, due to some issues with its code, essentially people can gain unauthorized admin access to your web page. This is scary because not only can they access all the admin tools at basically the same level as the site owner, they can actually also inject code and change things around. If you're affected by this, you'll be happy to know that a patch actually already exists to fix this issue. So if you are looking to update, and you should if you are using an older version, then head down to the video description. You can actually jump over to this Ars Technica article. We move on to the finger pointing. Now, my sources for this actually come from two different articles, but what's gonna happen is I'm just gonna talk generally about this issue before I actually introduce the articles. So here's the deal. If you are a Netflix user, you might have occasionally experienced issues with the streaming, in particular slow speed causing lag or a drop in quality. Now, you don't normally know what the issue is. It might be your ISP slowing down, it might be Netflix themselves having issues with their servers, but now essentially what Netflix is doing is they're calling out your cable company when they're the ones at fault. So what's happening now is that whenever you're actually having some streaming issues, Netflix pops up this little box. The message actually says that, well, the network provided by your ISP is actually crowded, and as a result, you are not receiving things at optimal speed. And as you would expect, the ISPs aren't very happy with this. One ISP in particular, Verizon, actually hit back at Netflix. Verizon basically asserts that, well, what Netflix is saying isn't accurate and is a PR stunt. Their explanation is there are many factors that could affect streaming speed, and well, they aren't really at fault for that. So what do I think of this? Well, here's my assessment on the issue. Clearly, the concern here is net neutrality. What Netflix is doing is raising a very interesting question of whether, the service is actually being throttled by the ISP. We of course don't know for certain whether Netflix is entirely sure the issue belongs on a part of the ISP. Things have gone so far as to, well, commenters actually mentioning that, Netflix is giving them this message, but on a computer when browsing sites, even streaming sites, they're not facing the same problem. Now, if this is true, then this is showing that there might be some amount of throttling going on. Still not conclusive of course, but that is some things that might raise some questions. As things stand at the present moment, Verizon has actually sent a cease and desist letter to Netflix, and as you know, when law is actually involved, things aren't gonna turn out very pretty. But as things stand, that is all we know so far. I'm definitely interested to see what direction this goes in, and well, if we get any more interesting news out of this, I will update you again in the future. The two source articles for this story are linked in the video description, and they come from Gizmodo and The Verge. Moving on to our next article from Mashable. This one concerns users of Twitter, particularly on the mobile platform. You might have noticed that recently you're actually receiving additional notifications. In particular, you are notified when the people you're following have done something in unison. For example, if 3 to 4 of the people you're actually following favorite a tweet, that will actually pop up as a notification on your phone. And most of the time, it's not entirely relevant to you. This article comes from Mashable and is entitled "How to Tame Twitter's Annoying Mobile Notifications." Turns out there's actually a very simple set of steps you can go through on your mobile to fix this issue. I personally never found this setting because it is an entry with a checkbox at the end, and apparently tapping on that does not toggle the state of the checkbox, but opens a new menu where you have more things to look at. So yeah, it calls the question why they put a checkbox there. It's rather misleading because you don't realize it opens a new menu, but I digress. If you're interested to know how to fix this issue, do check out this article from Mashable. And right before we wrap up this episode, let us take a look at our recommendation for the week. Today, your recommendation is actually a blog. This one is entitled Malwarebytes Unpacked, and you probably find this name rather familiar, and well, it is indeed the same guys who've actually written the Malwarebytes anti-malware software. This blog actually contains news regarding new pieces of malware and just keeps you up to date in general about what viruses are going around. It never hurts to be careful. The blog also covers things like Facebook scams, all your usual stuff. So it's definitely worth checking out. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add it to my RSS feed, so that will be one additional source we can use for our Highlight Sundays articles. Anyway, that's it. That pretty much wraps it up for this episode of Highlight Sundays. Nothing to vlog about today. I've been taking a lot of photos recently, so well, hopefully you'll get more photography related content in the coming weeks. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. So, well, that's it. That's all there is for this episode. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, you're watching 0612 TV. Hello, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, remember that I appreciate every like, favorite, and comment you give me. If you'd like to see more from me in the future, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. And for more updates outside of YouTube, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at 0612TV. Once again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.